Why is the video not working?
Yeah, I'll mute it.
Huh?
Yeah, that's that rain.
So how is that working? Because that was.
I see yourself. Yes, it is. It was just working earlier.
No, you had that on earlier. Oh, earlier today, yeah.
Yeah, that's what was good.
What's it saying?
Recording live. But they need to see you. Participants chat.
They say we can hear us. Okay.
They can't see you. Go back to that camera, Dada.
Why is it not working?
Good evening and welcome to City Council's Education, Youth, and Family Virtual Committee meeting. Today is Wednesday, November the 11th. I am the committee chair, Michelle Harley, representing the 4th District. At this time, we're going to begin our meeting with introductions, starting with our council members, starting in our 1st District.
Linda Gray, Councilwoman, 1st District.
Not bad. By my calculations, that means they've now got fewer than 10 hours.
Yolanda McCoy, 6th District.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you, council members. So at this time, on tonight, all we have on our agenda are resolutions. We do not have any ordinances that need to be voted out. So at this time, I want to welcome our Director of Department of Parks and Recreation and any of his staff at this time to come and speak to the resolutions that we have on our agenda on tonight. So at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Kelly to please come. Welcome.
Welcome. How you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you.
Good. I think we have a presentation that we submitted that's a PowerPoint that would go over each of the items on today's agenda.
Yes. Yes, I did see that.
There we go. Perfect. Perfect. So that's the outline. So we can go right to the first slide, if you like, please, the next one. So this is an overview of the items that we're going to discuss today with council. They're all resolutions. So if we'd like, we can go right into the first one, if you don't mind, and we can discuss that one.
Yes, please do.
Okay, so if you could hit the next slide for me, please. So we've applied to the American Lung Association through the Tobacco Prevention Program to provide funding for our Anti-Vaping Basketball League. This is probably the 3rd year that we received this grant. Down a little bit,
We lost him. I can't hear Commissioner Kelly, Director Kelly.
Inside the west wing of the White House.
Anybody else hear me?
Yes, can hear you now.
All right, sorry about that, Councilmember Gray. I'll talk louder. So again, this was a grant that we've applied for from the American Lung Association, which is funded from the Tobacco Prevention Grant. And this is funding will allow us to pay for our basketball league, for uniforms, from awards banquet, and also for some virtual training that young people will do as to learn about vaping. The contract, I'll have to clear, it's not between Pritchett Associates and us. It's with the American Lung Association. So this will provide some funding. Last year we had about over 30 teams, and they range from six and under to high school kids. This year, part of the challenges with COVID is we only have Hicks Anderson Community Center and potentially PAL as sites. So the league may be scaled down from how we normally offer it to everyone. But we expect to start playing the middle of January. We're looking to see if we can play central-wide in another location so we can have enough space for everybody to play. Due to COVID restrictions, everybody will be temperature checked. Masks will be required to be worn by all the players and participants, and we'll have very limited spectators there.
Okay. Are there any questions from the council members? Okay, I don't see any hands raised.
My hand's raised.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, since this is a grant from the Lung Association, is there going to be training or some type of informational lectures given to the kids about tobacco and smoking cessations?
Yes. So as part of the program in the past, we've hired Pritchard's Associations, which is listed on here, to do things. We've hired them in the past. So last year and the year before, all of the young people who were between 8 and 10, either before the game or after the game, had to attend a half-hour session on the impact of vaping on their lives. The Pritchards, we contracted with them. The young people came in, they learned about the vaping, asked questions about what they knew about vaping and other tobacco products. They did a pre and a post survey of the individuals, and it seemed to benefit the young people who came as well as their parents.
Okay, thank you. I guess I'm old fashioned. I'm talking about tobacco when vaping is probably the problem now with young people.
Yes.
Okay. Any other council members? Okay, seeing no hands, do we have any comments from the public? All right. So it doesn't look like we have any comments from the public, so we can go to our next resolution, approving the Department of Parks and Recreation's acceptance of grant funds from the Delaware Community Foundation to support the department's Code, Play, and Create program.
If we could we hit the next slide, please? Thank you. So we received this grant. We really didn't apply for the funds. If people are familiar with Mr. and Mrs. Pritchard, when they retired from public service, they asked individuals not to give them a party or anything at all like that, but to donate to the Delaware Community Foundation so that they can use some funding to help young people in the city of Wilmington. So through those efforts, the Pritchards have, through the Delaware Community Foundation, have awarded the Parks Department a $6,000 grant to help young people learn how to do coding. That's really what this is about, to be able to have them develop some technical knowledge about what coding is required with computers. So we, as part of the program, there's like a little packet that we just bought, a kit that helps kids understand a little bit about how computer programming works. And then we will teach this at Hicks Anderson Community Center. What's very interesting right now at Hicks, we have a remote learning site where we have about 12 to 14 young people from Bancroft School who come to Hicks every day and they do virtual learning. We have staff and the school district provides some staff. We have the computers. So we're going to use the young people who are coming to Bancroft and have them start this program and learn a little bit about computer technology and coding. And the program will it only runs about 6 weeks. It's a couple hours a week. We hope to start the program next week. It'll probably run to the end of December.
Okay, so Director Kelly, do you already have someone to teach the class?
Yes, it's kind of like a packet. Mr. and Mrs. Pritchard will be teaching the class kind of virtually to the students who are at Hicks. There's a kit that they have. There'll be some direct learning as well, but they will be performing the teaching, working with our staff to do it.
Nice. Very, very nice. Any other questions from the council members? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move right along to our next resolution, which is approving the Department of Parks and Rec the acceptance of a grant fund from the Fitlot Inc. and AARP to support an AARP-sponsored outdoor fitness park located in Holloway, Compton Park. So it's
So
a
if you could hit the
fitness.
next slide, please.
So
So if
it's
you
actually,
remember, Councilmember Harley, you
yes,
could hit the next slide, please. There we go. If you remember, we put the fit lot down in Holloway Park, which has been used by some individuals. Due to COVID, we had a delay a little bit about what we could do with training for individuals to teach them how to use the equipment. So FitLot has given us a grant of $3,500, and I believe it may be an additional $500 that we'll have to add to the resolution that will do social media outreach. So within this, we have to provide a number of classes to individuals in the community to teach them how to do, how to use the FitLot. We have to have a certified trainer, someone who's certified in doing physical instructions on their equipment. We hope to begin the training probably in the beginning of the spring, where I may have my staff that would start to be able to do it, because I think their funding, I forget the number here. They'll fund 54 classes with the $3,500, and they'd like to have 8 people per class. So we'll use their funding to hold the classes, as well as I will probably have one of my staff to be able to help train people as well. So for the resolution, we probably have to amend this to be, the real total is $3,510 for the training and another $500 for social media. And that's an overview of that particular grant.
okay, so that's great, because I know a lot of residents were asking when we were going to get the trainer. So since this equipment, to me, is sponsored by Fitlock, so are we looking for people that are specialized in the equipment? Are we just going to look for a trainer? I mean, how are you going to go about hiring the right person to train and show people how to use the equipment?
Within the FitLot, there are some guidelines that they want to have us to be able to use, so that there's a criteria that the individuals have to meet through being able to train individuals. So we'll look to make sure we find somebody who meets the criteria that they do. We would advertise for it, try and come across some people. We may have a few people who work for parks already who can do it. I'm just trying to determine whether they meet the criteria. But it'll be a community person. We'll find somebody within the community who people know, who does training now, that we can get down there and help people learn how to use this equipment.
Mm-hmm. And so these are going to be classes, virtual classes?
No, they'll be in person.
Okay.
They would be in person. That's why we're hoping, when spring comes and COVID, right now you're allowed to have certain number of people per the size of the equipment, the square footage. And it may be we not have to have 8, maybe it's 4 people who, socially distance, use the equipment. We spray the equipment down, we clean it, and make sure that it's safe for them to be able to use.
Okay. So one thought comes to mind is that whenever you kick this off, it probably would be a good idea to have all the dates on one flyer so people know if that works. Yep. I find that that's always helpful. So when, and plus it helps to save on costs too, putting all the dates, that you can, as many as you can, on one flyer, that way people can plan. They know, hey, if I miss one date, it's another one coming up, I don't know, the next week. So are you thinking about having them weekly, bi-weekly? Have you put any thought into that yet?
It would probably be weekly. And the FitLot folks have a software program that you go on and register in order to take the classes. So I have to fine tune with them about how many weeks you really would need to take in order to be proficient with the equipment. It may be one class and you're proficient. It may be more than one class. The ultimate goal really for us would be get a regular group of people who can use the equipment. If we've got to run 2 classes a week or 3 classes a week, that would be good, where there's a separate group of 8 people using it at 3 different times during the week.
Oh, okay. Okay, sounds good. Any questions from the council members?
Yes. Is this equipment?
Okay, hold on, Linda. Are you hitting the button that says raise hand?
Yes, my hand is up on the button right now. I'm looking at it.
Yes, okay, I can see that. And I also see Council President Shabazz. Okay, Council Member Gregg.
Okay, thank you. Is
You're
this
welcome.
equipment going to be locked when there aren't people using it? Or is it open for everyone to use and you're just going to run classes at specific times? How is this going to operate?
It's been open since last August, Councilmember Gray. It's open for anyone to use. We don't lock the equipment. There's no way to lock it. Due to COVID, we really would have had classes last year over the summer instructing people how to use it. But with COVID, we had a delay. But there are people using the equipment now. If you ride by on warm days, there are people using it.
Okay, so you are capable of using it without instructions, but you won't get the maximum benefit from the equipment until someone teaches you how to use it. Is that what I'm understanding?
For the most part, yes. For the most part, yes. I mean, our target, why we put it there, with Council President Shabazz's help and Councilmember Harley, was right where there are 3 senior high-rise buildings to try and get the individuals there, because it really is more for older adults, not as opposed to kids, to be able to use the equipment.
Okay, thank you. And I have to get this dig in. I haven't heard from you about Haynes Park. We're discussing all these other parks, and we really need to move on getting a grant or some money to get the equipment and renovate Haynes Park.
So I just responded back to your email with Haynes Park. I can
Okay.
give you an update. We are finalizing a revised design, which you and I met over there before. I've reached out to the county about the CARES Act and have not heard back from them about whether we can apply. I'm trying to nail that down. We have some funding that will come from the bond bill, but we'll have to probably seek some other funding, hopefully from maybe CTF funds or other grants.
Okay, just one question. Who are you waiting to hear from in the county? Do you know?
I've reached out to the someone who's overseeing the CARES Act grant.
You don't know their name.
Chief of staff, I'm waiting to hear back. I had some conversations with them because as we discussed at the park, there is some possibility of the city applying directly for the CARES grant.
Okay, thank you.
But you can feel free to reach out yourself as well.
Well, that's the reason I was asking, do you know who you spoke with?
I
don't
spoke
wanna-
with the chief of staff of Newcastle County.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Council President and then Council Member McCoy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry I got on the call a little late, and you might have said this, and then some of the questions that I had did get answered, and that was as to when it should start. And Director Kelly, I believe when we was working on this, is this the grant for the multiple years of coverage, or is it just the 1 year of assistance for a trainer?
It's just 1 year. It actually, they're in their mind, they're providing 18 months worth of funding for the grant. I have a funny feeling that we will use it quicker than that.
Okay. And so then we need to make sure that so I guess it's too early to say, based on our financial situation, will we continue that position, but that's too early to say.
No, I would continue, not to cut you off, Council President. My goal, I think, would be to hire an LSE staff person under the Parks Department who would meet the criteria, and that individual would work with us. We would do their classes and get that out of the way. But to me, it would be ongoing even after the grant stops.
Good. I wanted to hear that come out of your mouth. Very good. Because I hate to start it and then get everybody started and then not be able to maintain it. Yeah.
Correct.
Great. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad we're finally getting to this, because it is a beautiful thing over there in the park. And we knew the advantages. It would be even more advantageous to the seniors in the community once we got that trainer over there to really focus. And I think one of the things I was saying to Councilwoman Gray, that if you go over there and see the equipment, there are signs of instructions, so of how to use the equipment and different things you can do for self activity. Even if you don't have a program, it's something that you could follow the instructions and do yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are you welcome, Madam President? Councilmember McCoy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, I had two questions. One, the 18 months of funding, wanted to find out whether or not there are going to be any particular time frame or seasons that are excluded from the training.
There's no, to the best of my knowledge, Councilmember McCoy, there's no time limit on training. It could be done in the winter, the spring, and the fall. To me, I would probably start in the spring and end in the fall.
Okay. All right.
But
And
it could go all year round.
okay, if I may follow up, Madam Chair. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. I just wanted to also ask when it comes to the $500 funding for the seniors, the senior outreach for social media. I'm sorry, did you actually go into that detail? Because I just find seniors and social media almost an oxymoron, especially in my area. So just trying to find out how are we making certain that our seniors are able to get that information off social media so that they know when the time frames and such for the exercise classes.
Well, we would use the social media, to the best we can. We would also be putting out flyers and information. It's like, again, the target audience are the seniors who live right within that park. There's 3 high rises next to the park that we would look at. We would do a press release. We would work with the council members, in the district to help promote the item. $500 is not a lot. And you're right, Councilmember McCoy, some seniors aren't on Facebook as much, but I think there's probably more than you and I probably give credit to that are on there as well.
Okay. Well, so I'm glad that you actually already have a plan, I guess, sorted out on how to reach them. Thank you. That's all that I had, Madam Chair.
Yeah, those are good questions. And like Director Kelly said, I was thinking about the flyers as well. I know over in the area where the park is located, the 3 high rises, we can easily get flyers over there and distribute it. So when the time comes, maybe your civic associations in your area could possibly help, with that distribution of flyers to make sure that your constituents know about it. But that's down the road, so we can talk about it. Yeah. Okay. Any other council members? Any questions from any other council members?
My hand up. I was just going to say that the best thing for exercise and activities like that is to find someone that goes. Find 1 or 2 people that will participate, and they'll spread the word. Get some dedicated people, some seniors who are interested in it, and they'll spread the word more than anything.
Yes, they will.
Thank you.
Great suggestion. Okay.
Councilmember Harley, just one other thing on Holloway Park. We have an electrician there now fixing the lights. We are going to replace the lights with LED lights and the plastic that covers the lights. We had new lights in, and the plastic is so yellow and old they couldn't even tell it. So we're going to be replacing the light bulb and the lights in the park.
Awesome. That is great news. I was definitely going to check with you on that to see how we were coming along. So there were some electrical issues in some of those light fixtures, I guess.
Correct. So we have our buddy John down there. He's replacing, I think, 11 lights and 11 of the fixtures that go over top of the light. So I think it'll brighten that park up and be vastly improved. I know you've been concerned. And the one resident who lives across from the park sees me all the time when I'm there.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for that update.
You're welcome.
let me check and see if we have anyone from the public that have any questions or comments. Okay. Any other council members? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to our next resolution, which is approving the Department of Parks and Rec, their grant application to the State of Delaware Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control for funds allocated to the 2020 Outdoor Recreation Parks and Trails Grant Program for improvements to Cool Spring Park.
So this is one of the grants that we apply for every year through DENREC. It provides it's a matching grant where you have to have matching city funds for the projects that you request. We've been successful in other parks, Kirkwood, Eden, and a variety of parks in the city where we've got this grant. So for next year, I'm just talking about next year, we would be applying for Cool Springs Park for $100,000 for the proposed playground that's been been talked about for some time in Lewis School and in the park. So right now, the city of Wilmington, through Public Works, we did about $350,000 worth of stormwater management to the park. We've got rid of a lot of the flooding that has occurred in that park because the water ran down from the reservoir into the park and the kids couldn't use the playground equipment. So there's one piece of playground equipment there now. The proposal now is to probably purchase about over a couple $100,000, somewhere around in there, of playground equipment. The overall project probably has a budget of about $500,000, talking off the top of my head. The funding sources for it are there's a $50,000 grant from Comores. There's $50,000 from the Red Clay School District. Westside Grove's got $150,000 from the CARES Act. There's money from the Heritage Foundation and one other foundation for funding as well. And the city, I think we've been to the bond bill, we would possibly put $150,000 towards the project. There's still a little bit more funding that needs to be raised in order for the park to take place. But it would be brand new playground equipment with poured and played surface. And it would be kind of not towards the center of the park, but if you're looking at it from the reservoir, it would be in the right upper corner is where the playground equipment would be located. We hope if things line up to be able to have this started in the spring if all the funding commitments come through.
Okay.
That's
Sounds
kind
like
of an overview of where we're at with this proposal.
Yeah, sounds like a complete renovation.
It would be.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Any questions from our council members?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my hand up.
Okay. Go ahead,
I'm
council
so
member.
sorry. Thank you. So yeah, my question to Cool Springs. So you said the city's actually already committed about $350,000 trying to deal with the stormwater management. I know it's been an issue. We've seen ducks and everything over there. Is it totally under control yet? Or there's still some issues that you're still trying to get resolved?
I mean, there's still always going to be some issues with the water just due to the nature of the park being like in a bowl, but they are drastically different. What we've realized was the playground was originally going to be next to where the existing play system is, and that wasn't going to work because I think it was going to be much more rainy. We had thought about moving it to the middle of the park, but there's a big pipe there. So now where we're at is at the highest portion of the park. And that I think is a great location because the water will run down it. Plus this will be a poured and played surface. We hope to have the funding for, which will be a little better of a surface that will hold water better than if it's possibly mulch.
Okay. And a follow up, Madam Chair.
Yes.
So with the application, this grant application, when do you normally hear from them to find out whether or not you've been awarded?
I think it's not going to be to the spring of next year. I've asked to get clarification of when the funds will be available. So we're hoping that it's in the spring, and if something comes up where we've got to try and see if we can move it up, we will. But we also have 3 parks that were funded this year with that grant that we're going to have to make improvements on before we'll be able to spend this other money.
Okay. 3 other parks that you've actually reached out for the same grant for as well.
Christ, correct. Sorry, I said that. I didn't mean to say that word. But we have, for this year, we have East Lake Park at 30th and Madison. We have Helen Chambers Park for $100,000 that we requested this year as well to be able to use.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is Kirkwood Park.
Okay. So
thank you, Madam Chair. No.
You're welcome. Director Kelly, what about the Pier and Christina Park? Because, we started that conversation a year ago, and I was told that it was during this time, that we could, get that done. So we could talk about it now and I'll talk about it offline.
Well, I can give you an update now. So the cities just went to the bond bill to be able to obtain funding for the capital budgets, the projects that I have. There is money in that bond bill for your specific project. There's $200,000 that we talked about for the pier. It's in a thing called sidewalks. I forget what the exact term it is. So I have the funding. We just recently went to the bond bill the other day. They're in the process of allocating those monies to put them in the appropriate buckets. And I would expect probably within the next 30 days or so to get with EDIS to start determining the scope of that project and getting it out to bid.
Awesome. That's great news. And before I call on the other council members, one last question. Now, how does that impact one council session ending and another one starting? Is there going to be a hiccup there, or does it just carry over? I'm just asking because I don't know.
It carries over, but I will say probably for the next council, there may be needs for us to possibly reallocate some of the funding within all the bond bills, all the capital accounts of that we have, but that will be, Chief of Staff Washington taking care of that to see what proposals that will be. But for now, the funding there really doesn't, the new council will not have an impact on it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Council President Shabazz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And since we're talking about parks, Director Kelly, can you tell me where the upgrades for Barbara Hicks Parks is?
So I think we need to have a conversation again about Barbara Hicks. I have some money that I would possibly be able to use in the capital budget to be able to upgrade Barbara Hicks Park. And I think I would welcome a conversation with you and the Southbridge community leaders to sit down and say, okay, what is it we really want to do at Barbara Hicks? I know there's been some designs, and what do we have funding to be able to do now, and what might we have to try and raise some funding for? One thing that I am looking to try and do possibly is to redo the basketball court and possibly the tennis court to get that out of the way, and then look at the playground equipment as well to see what we can do. But right now, I don't believe there's sufficient funds to do all of what's needed unless we get some more.
But wasn't there some tentative drawings or plans of action, of plans of these redesign for Barbara Hicks Parks at one time?
There was, and if that's
yeah.
what we want to continue to move forward, we can, look at that as well if that's the plan, for Barbara Hicks. It's
Okay.
just something that I haven't seen probably in some time. I just want to make sure it's what we want to move forward with.
Okay, well, I look forward to that conversation.
I'll reach out to you to have that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, just because we're on this topic, I just wanted to ask if what we're talking about, does it have anything to do with the proposal that was submitted, Director Kelly? that we had to hold on to because we had to get some other things checked off. I'm just trying to make sure if that proposal was included in this conversation that y'all are talking about.
What proposal is that? The plan, the proposed plan for the playground equipment?
The Neighborhood Planning Council. So there was a proposal submitted to the Neighborhood Planning Council. I want to say 6, 7, 8 months ago. It was well before the budget of this year. And during the budget, when you had shared the update on the different parks, you had mentioned that it was sort of like put on hold, that particular proposal from the Neighborhood Planning Council, the one that had been submitted. So that's the one I'm talking about.
Right. So the challenge with the Neighborhood Planning Council is, first, there is no active planning council, I think, in the 4th district. I could be wrong. But
no, it's active. It's active. We're looking for a new chairperson, but it is active.
Okay, so that's fine. But the amount of money that was given was for some environmental type of little pieces of equipment. And my understanding was it wasn't for the playground equipment. In my mind, it wasn't enough for what we needed for the park. So I think I had that proposal because I sit on that committee. I'd be glad to look at it again and see. And that's why I think it's best if we get everybody back in the room, yourself, Councilmember Shabazz, and others, about what exactly is the vision for the park.
Okay, that sounds good.
I'd be glad to do that sooner rather than later.
Okay, Council President, did you have anything else to ask around that topic?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Councilmember McCoy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So my question was, when you actually spoke of the 3 parks that you wanted to make certain that you were able to take care of if you were awarded these funds, you had mentioned Kirkwood. I did recently seen Kirkwood and Brown Park. RFP had actually gone out. Just wanted to reconfirm that Brown Park is not actually one of them because you already have funds allocated for that park. Is that correct?
That's correct, Councilmember McCoy. If you like, I was going to send you an email, give you an update. So we've awarded the contract for both Kirkwood and Brown Park. Mm-hmm. We are meeting with the contractor, Rybold, who was the low bidder, on Monday to get a tentative time frame for both of those parks to start the construction. We've purchased the playground equipment already, so it goes a little bit quicker. But Kirkwood was funded by the grant by Christina School District for $100,000, and Senator Darius Brown put funding in. Browntown Park was funded entirely by Senator Lockman and Senator Lockman, Representative Bolden, and Newcastle County.
Okay. All right. My follow-up, Madam Chair, I just wanted to follow up. I realized that in Cool Springs, initially when the Cool Springs plan to come together, it came together as a packet with Tilton Park. Wanted to find out whether or not Tilton Park actually had any type of advancement dealing with its flooding issues, since I see that Cool Springs may be finally on the move.
So the Westside Groves brought in the Newcastle County Conservation District in conjunction with Senator Lockman to review the drainage at Tilton Park. They did a preliminary design, a review of it. They had 2 proposals for addressing the stormwater management at the park. And I think Westside Groves put out a little doodle poll to see what the group liked. One involved the drain in the middle of the playground equipment. The other involved some ability to move the water away from the existing playground equipment down into Franklin Street. So there is a meeting being scheduled with Westside Groves, Senator Lockman, and others about what exactly we will do next to address the drainage. The conflicting portion of it is that we need to understand what the playground equipment design will be, so the drainage addresses the playground equipment design. And at this point, they're still trying to raise money for the Cool Springs playground.
You mean the Tilton?
Tilton, excuse me, Tilton.
Right.
Tilton,
Okay.
I get them, yeah, Tilton, thank you.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said they were kind of like done as a package deal initially. That's why I was just trying to see whether or not there was any type of movement with Tilton. Thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Gray?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe I misunderstood, but it says the grant amount $100,000, and I thought that it was said that this is a matching grant, but you said it's going to cost $500,000.
Correct.
So do we have to put up $250,000 and you have $100,000, or I'm not understanding?
So no, there's $100,000 that we have. I believe I can allocate $150,000 of some of the bond bill money towards this project. So there's another $150,000 from the CARES Act. There's 50 from Comores. There's 50 from Red Clay School District, and there's a couple other grants that they're applying for the project.
So we only have to match the highest amount, which is $150,000, or
We only have to match 100.
oh, okay.
That's
You're gonna amend this to be 150 because
No,
of
it's only for 100.
okay.
So if I spend 100, if we spend 100, we get another 100. If the city spends 500, we only get 100.
Okay. Okay.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Okay, do we have any comments from the public? I don't think I see any hands. Okay. All right. So if no other questions from the council members, we're going to move on to our next item agenda, which is a resolution approving the Department of Parks and Rec grant application to the state of Delaware, Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control for funds allocated to the Outdoor Recreation Parks and Trails Grant Program for improvements to Johnston Park.
Thank you. So Johnston Park is located in the 3rd District. It sits off of Northeast Boulevard on 15th Street, I think 15th and Claymont. It is a park that really, like I said, needs some love. We're applying for a $100,000 grant. That would be to renovate the basketball court, to put new playground equipment in and some new benches. We also are looking at possibly at this park, put something in for handicapped individuals or individuals who have some learning, when they go to park, some learning equipment would be best. There's some funds possibly in the capital budget for this. And also State Senator Darius Brown has committed some funding to make this park happen. We're in the preliminary stages of a design for what the park would look like. But this is a park that has some really old basketball equipment, some old equipment in it. And the residents have been asking for some upgrades for some time. And it's probably the second priority park that I kind of have in the city to fix.
Okay, I'm sure Councilmember Oliver is excited about that.
Sure she is.
Yeah, as we all are. Yeah,
Yep.
We are all supporting, one another with all the districts. Okay, any questions from our council members? I don't see any hands raised. So I'm going to go to the public. Do we have any questions or comments from our public? I don't see any hands raised there. Okay, so it looks like we can move on to our last resolution, which is totally awesome. And I can't wait to hear more about it, which is a resolution approving the Department of Parks and Rec, their acceptance of grant funds obtained through the state of Delaware Criminal Justice Council's grant application to the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Preventions for fiscal year 20 delinquency prevention program to support the department's Wilmington Youth Leadership Incubator Program. Ooh, that was a mouthful. Okay, Director Kelly.
So we are pleased on this grant, sometime back in the spring, myself and Darrell Chambers met with Cliffon Howe, who was formerly with the Criminal Justice Council, about some funding that was available for young people in the city. And when we had discussed kind of conceptually what might work and to tie in with the CDC report, we discussed having some leadership monies to provide more leadership training for young people in the city, to be able to expand safe haven hours just for a little bit, to be able to provide some behavioral health individuals to come to our safe havens to deal with the trauma that young people, endure every day, and some of the life challenges that they have as well, to also provide jobs for individuals in a year-round basis where we would have an employment program part of it. And then to tie it in with the kind of the Wilmington Youth Leadership Corps that we have right now. And I have some ideas about how we could change that. And all of this would be a partnership between the Criminal Justice Council, the mayor, and the Wilmington Community Advisory Commission, because many of the items that were talked about had been in that report that Councilmember Shabazz has been promoting, kind of the CDC model for some time. So we've been fortunate to get $1 million grant, which is probably one of the largest grants that we've had in some time for youth. It's a 5-year grant, over $200,000 a year. It pays for some admin costs for the CJC, and about $25,000 for a project director or somebody to oversee the program. Most of the money, as I said, will go towards safe havens, some training for young people, some behavioral health individuals who will come to the safe havens. The jobs program really will be provided by the city of Wilmington. We're kind of already doing that now. So that's kind of a component of it. And then really just to try and create, leadership skills of young people in the city, teach them life skills and so forth, and really look at how we start to build leadership of young people throughout the city of Wilmington. So that's kind of an overview. We have a meeting, I think, with the CJC and WCAC individuals. I think Councilmember Shabazz might be on that, Henry Smith and Gwen Angelette, to go through this. The CJC still needs to get approval from the state clearinghouse. I thought it was best to get our approval first. So as we work through this, I can keep council members abreast of the developments of the grant. So that's kind of an overview of what it is.
Okay, I have questions, but I see that Council President has her hand up, so she might answer some of my questions. Council President?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm quite sure, I'm glad that you said you're as excited as I am, Council Member, about our receipt of this grant. I mean, it is really amazing and great that we could get such a great sum of monies. It's really just a scratching of what's needed, but it's a great start for funding to address the issues that our young people are plaguing and that are spelled out in the CDC report. But it's all the things that Councilman Kelly has said, and what's also exciting, because at the Wilmington Community Advisory Council Steering Committee yesterday, we got somewhat of a more intimate report on the whole phase of what's happening. Darrell Chambers gave a overview, as well as Sierra Hall with Network Connect, and they're all in total involvement. So it is such, we're finally closing the holes in the net. We are connecting the dots of various organizations throughout the city that are doing what's necessary for our young people, all working together in a really comprehensive, holistic way of operation and in dealing with our juvenile delinquency. And I'm so happy that we're getting some more attention to the Wilmington Youth Leadership Commission to do what its real mission is. It was for a really great job they were doing before. The young man that was running it, that was doing some great jobs. The outcomes of those young people most of them have gone on to college or in some type of real career path. So the commission was doing great. To know that it's taking it to the next level of what it can do for our young people is even more exciting. So glad to hear we're getting that dedicated. And Kevin, I'm glad to hear, I would look forward to hearing what your ideas are, because we kicked many ideas around on where the next step was for the Youth Leadership Commission. So I'd really like to hear what that is. And this is just the beginning. When you start getting money pumped in for projects like this and various organizations, the CIT team, the Network Connect, the Women's Youth Leadership Commission in the city, and others start seeing that these things, these best practices are happening for our young people, and then hopefully they will begin to be more generous in providing us more monies to continue to expand it. Because there's much more that can be done, and more organizations that need to be connected and funded to close the net so that our delinquent children don't fall through the cracks. So this is a great accomplishment for all of us involved, and great to see this happening. And I'm really ecstatic. And Kevin, thank you for always being at the table and helping us to move the recommendations along.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
I give a lot of credit to Cliffon Howell, who wrote up the grant. Unfortunately, he got a promotion, went to Department of Education, him and Wolfie to see. But it's a good grant. I think it's very helpful. But I'll sit and answer any other questions that council members might have about the grant.
I'm going to let Council Member Gray go ahead. Go ahead, Council Member.
Thank you. I heard you say something about truancy. Is this grant addressing truancy, which is kind of difficult at this time since most kids are at home learning, but was there a component of truancy in there?
No, nothing at all for truancy, Council Member Gray.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so so as I listen to the high level overview and even Council President's input, one thought is that as we continue to get these types of grants coming in, I think it's going to be very important for tracking and measuring, because one thing that I find is very helpful in getting more money and getting greater recognition is showing how productive, you are with the grants and fundings that you receive. So I think that's one of the things that I hope is dialed into this level of funding, is that, that there will be, very good tracking as it relates to how we're measuring, how well we're doing. And I'm not saying, tracking like where all the money's going, tracking in terms of improvement and how you determine your wins, and how do you determine what is successful. And so, meeting and gathering, is all good and it's wonderful. And I believe all the organizations that were mentioned are doing a great job. But I think that there needs to be an underscore of that kind of conversation as well, accountability and traceability, to measure, to be able to qualify for some of those larger dollars. So congratulations again to all.
Councilwoman Harley, I'll be confident to know that if we were already doing that, we would not have qualified for the $1 million grant. So you rest assured that's already in place, that we have already demonstrated that we were making successes and had great outcomes. That's how come we qualified for a first-time $1 million grant. So that's not to worry about that.
No, it's not even a worry. It's all about, as you move forward and you gain momentum, you just got to underscore the importance of keeping all those measures tight. So no doubt in my mind that y'all were not already doing it. Obviously, they got the grant. I'm just sharing, just some thoughts as it relates to, as you go forward, because you have mentioned, you're looking forward to getting more attention. And that was the reason why I mentioned it, because of that comment, not based on what y'all already done. So again, congratulations to all. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about that youth leadership and, how what that's going to look like in terms of preparing our next group of leaders. And I would just like to know how that's going, and being over the Education, Youth, and Family Committee. I would like to be in on, some of those meetings, specifically to Director Kelly. I heard him saying that, he's going to be playing a major part in that as well. So thanks again. Do we have... Go ahead.
Councilwoman, sorry, you want to be involved in the meetings. If the meetings that we're talking about, a lot of them are spelled out in the monthly and weekly emails that you get from Gwen Aguilette regarding the Wilmington Community Advisory Council. All those
Okay.
meetings are spelled out in dates and times, access to Zoom to be getting is in all of those emails. So please, we welcome more involvement from for you as chair of Education, Youth and Families.
Okay, and as you said, I have been getting them. Gwen is on top of sending out her emails. So thank you. Yeah, I'll be looking out for that. Okay, let's see. Any other questions from our council members? Okay, any questions from the public? I'm going to ask that. Okay, I see Miss Erin Goldner from the public. Erin, you can speak at this time.
Thank you, Councilwoman. My name is Erin Goldner. I'm very concerned. One of my big passions, or I'm very passionate about female empowerment, and youth having opportunities, and of course, having recreational activities for their mental health. I think all of this is starting to make a lot of sense, and I'm very grateful for Director Kelly all through the years, all the different titles he's had, all the work he's done, and the comments from President Hanifa Shabazz and the work she's done with CDC and the different other Wilmington groups that have been created for the better good. I kept hearing basketball courts a lot. I also heard jobs. And I want to see our youth be able to have opportunities for some work. Some of our youth, our parents also, when they need to work. I am very also passionate about having our young girls have places to run that aren't a field with holes in it. And I know we got to think about the entire city of Wilmington. My heart is over near the Boys and Girls Club and H. Rutherford Brown. And I know that gets attention and that has a beautiful playground and children play there. And it's a really cool space because it's a private public space, which is awesome. It's open to the community. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for partnership all down the Brandywine, which probably would require more than $1 million. But a really amazing thing would have pathways that kids can run on. A lot of times when I look at basketball courts, I don't see a lot of females. And I know this is more than just sports. And this is a huge grant, and congratulations. I think sometimes when we envision, we think about our boys, not thinking that our girls need to participate in physical recreational activities. Didn't mean to kind of go on that rant, but it does cost money to put in infrastructure for paths and also partnerships, which is difficult to do, which Mr. Director Kelly's amazing at. And I'm just trying to put those thoughts in the minds of the leaders like you, because it's difficult being someone down the totem pole that sees what our kids need and just can't make it happen. But I see that there's potential and it's possible to have pathways, appreciating the Brandywine Creek that is a part of the city, and having, I see the lighting has been updated all throughout the city, and it's awesome. And I just want us to be able to have a 5K and be able to have girls be able to train for a 5K and it doesn't even have to be a track, but we can't be running in the streets unless we close the streets down anyway. It's a huge financial undertaking and would require people to allow us permission on their properties to run along the Brandywine, and then kids can be safe. But that's really all I had to say. I want to make safe paths for kids, including our young girls, to be able to participate in recreational activities. I do not see a lot of girls playing basketball on the basketball courts. There's a bit of frustration behind that, but Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much. Okay, I think I see Mr. Daryl Chambers' hand up.
He's not allowed to ask any questions.
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Hello.
How you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful. Daryl Chambers. I currently live in the 3rd district. So when Director Kelly, Cliff Vaughn, and I started working on this grant, the one thing that we were trying to capture was, and I think that you and Madam President was both right, Honorable Ms. Harley, was that we were trying to make sure 3 things were really obtained with the money that we get. First, we wanted to make sure that we give our youth a voice in some of their prevention programs.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing that we wanted to do, we wanted to make sure that we somehow add strength to the great work that was being done with the Women's and Youth Leadership Commission, right? So how do we add to that right there? And lastly, what we wanted to do was we wanted to make sure it was more long-term. So how can we look at 40 to 55 kids over a 4-year span?
Mm-hmm.
And what we decided was that at the end of this, we're going to train them up, and in year 4, we were going to have a week-long prevention program, prevention conference constructed by the youth, ran by the youth, and controlled by the youth. And keeping in mind that we know that outcomes are important, so there is a piece of that fund that is set aside for evaluation too. Because
Awesome.
like President Shabazz said, that we have been getting great outcomes, and even to get that 10-year grant for $2, $3, $4, $5 million, we need to make sure that we can keep on showing that we're meeting our deliverables and making sure that we have solid outcomes. So there is an evaluation portion built into it.
Awesome. That's spot on. And again, like I shared earlier, congratulations to you as well, and to all those that were involved in being an advocate and a champion, for our youth and taking it to the next level. Because as we know, there's a lot of great ideals on the table, a lot of good work is being done, but we know that we need more funding. So here we go. So this is exciting, and I'm just looking forward to our young people having more to get involved in and to be able to take even their service, being able to take, their skills in a safe environment to a whole nother level. So I'm really excited too. Very excited. So thank you. Okay. Do we have any other questions from our council members? Okay. Well, seeing none, Director Kelly, before we close out, did you have any closing comments that you wanted to share? You're on mute, Director Kelly.
I appreciate everybody's time today. The support of the committee has been very helpful. I'm always seeking grants to try and, expand our dollars in the city of Wilmington. I just had really a couple quick updates. Councilmember McCoy, there's a path in Canby Park. It's like
she's not on the line. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut across you, but she had to leave early.
Okay, I can catch up with her. But for you, Councilmember Harley, the park there at 1331 West, we're getting ready to put a water service into the park and address some of the drainage issues with the 2 of the neighbors. That'll be done. For the 3rd, I think it's a 2nd district, we're getting ready to fix a triangle.
I'm sorry. Where did you say that was located?
The Pocket Park at 13th and West.
Oh, in Midtown. I'm with you. I'm with you.
So
what is going on?
We're putting
what is going on?
We're going to put the water service in, so there's a spigot there for the community to be able to water the flowers in the summer.
Okay. Who's paying for that?
This the NPC and Councilmember Bolden's funds.
The NPC?
Yes, the NPC put funding towards that project.
Oh, you mean 2 years ago? That funding from 2 years ago?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. And Rep. Bolden. Okay. Great.
That's all. That's the only updates I had.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. And if no other comments or suggestions, we're going to accept the motion to adjourn the session.
Make the motion to adjourn. Do I get a second?
Okay, I guess our council president is no longer on the line. So I guess I have to second. I have to second it. So thank you and have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Good evening. Bye.
Okay, bye.